Meantime, the Trump White House reinforcing its peace through strength agenda overseas and here at home. Today, the president is hosting world leaders for the first Board of Peace meeting focusing on the future of Gaza.
Meanwhile, the U.S. military is ramping up its presence in the Middle East as the administration pushes Iran to abandon its rogue nuclear program. Lucas Tomlinson joins us from Washington with the very latest. Hi, Lucas.
Well, good morning, Carly and Todd. President Trump will preside over his first ever Board of Peace meeting today in Washington, focused on the future of Gaza. One of the major questions hanging over the meeting is the disarmament of Hamas and who will provide peacekeeping forces. At the White House, there was also a question of funding the reconstruction if Hamas lays down its weapons.
And will that be sort of the down payment for much more money?
You'll be hearing more about that tomorrow at the meeting. If you recall, at the first meeting when we were in Davos, Jared Kushner did provide a very detailed PowerPoint presentation for the vision of Gaza, the reconstruction and the humanitarian efforts, of course, providing local security on the ground. First, you must achieve security to get to prosperity, which is sort of the second part of this plan.
The Board of Peace meets in Washington as the U.S. military buildup in the Middle East continues. The USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier strike group will be in the Mediterranean soon if she didn't pass through Gibraltar last night. Dozens of fighter jets are heading to the region to join naval assets, including F-22 Raptors. Recall these fifth-generation stealth fighter jets arrived in the Middle East just 4 days before Operation Midnight Hammer over the summer. And elite search and rescue assets have already arrived to rescue any downed pilots if necessary. Top national security officials met in the White House Situation Room yesterday to discuss planning. The first strikes could take place as soon as this weekend. Axios reports, quote, a U.S. military operation in Iran would likely be a massive weeks-long campaign that would look more like a full-fledged war than last month's pinpoint operation in Venezuela, sources say. Iran has said it will hold joint exercises with Russian forces in the Gulf of Oman. That puts those forces just a few hundred miles away from the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier strike group on station in the Arabian Sea. Now, today, the Board of Peace meets. In the days ahead, guys, the potential for war with Iran exists. Carly, Todd?
Yeah, and Iran and Russia conducting these exercises together is, of course, no surprise and very telling. Lucas Tomlinson live for us in Washington. Lucas, thank you. Let's bring in Fox News contributor and former CIA station chief Dan Hoffman. Dan, good morning to you. When it comes to Iran, it really does feel like the other shoe could drop at any moment when it comes to a possible military intervention. And to echo what Lucas was saying, Axios did report this yesterday. The Trump administration is closer to a major war in the Middle East than most Americans realize, and it could begin very soon. And they go on to say with Trump, anything can happen, but all signs point to him pulling the trigger if talks fail. Do you agree with that assessment that we are close to a major war in the Middle East?
Yeah, I think we've made it clear that we have the military assets in the region to strike Iran if necessary. And the key thing is that we're messaging Iran very bluntly that if Iran doesn't come to the negotiating table in good faith to negotiate, then we are prepared to launch kinetic strikes. I think that's the purpose of all of this public discussion. And if the Iranians are wondering whether President Trump will follow through, they can just rewind the tape and look back to the strike against IRGC Commander Soleimani or the strikes against Iran's nuclear program, their facilities back in June of 2025.
Yeah, that's a great point. Didn't happen too long ago. And you mentioned kinetic strikes. Here's Senator Ted Cruz yesterday talking to Sean Hannity about what possible military action would look like. Watch this.
President Trump is not an isolationist, but he's also not an interventionist. We are not going to see a ground invasion of Iran. We're not going to see hundreds of thousands of troops on the ground. We're not going to see massive American casualties. But the president is willing to defend American national security interests.
And meanwhile, Dan, the Ayatollah is, of course, doing everything he can to drag these negotiations out and keep the talks ongoing while also trying to project strength himself, saying any possible military intervention would mean a long, drawn-out regional war. What are Iran's capabilities in doing such a thing right now?
Well, Iran is trying to demonstrate that they have the leverage to strike back at the United States. And they're doing that because they want to limit the scope of the negotiations. What Iran wants to do is talk only about their nuclear program. They want to retain the capability to enrich uranium, which the Trump administration is rightly against. Also, remember that the Trump administration, the first one, withdrew from the JCPOA because it did not address Iran's ballistic missile capability or Iran's material support to proxy terrorists. There were sunset clauses for Iran's nuclear program. We need to deal with all of those things. Iran doesn't want to, and that's why I think Iran is trying to demonstrate, including with these latest military drills with Russia, that they have some military leverage of their own. At the end of the day, I think our military capacity in the region is enough, certainly, to inflict great harm on Iran. But I think we've got war planners in the military with our intelligence community wargaming this out, how these strikes might result in any sorts of Iranian retaliation. I think that's what's ongoing right now in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, still have the largest ballistic missile arsenal in the Middle East and probably growing by the day. But I also want to get to really quickly this Board of Peace meeting that's taking place. I mean, it is historic for a president to create this sort of global body to, rebuild a war zone. But there are still a lot of questions that remain, including Hamas demilitarization and if the next government will be successful in the region. So what can we expect really quickly today and beyond?
Probably a lot of discussion about a strategic plan. Phase 1 is over, but in Phase 2, Hamas was supposed to be demilitarized. By all accounts, they've tried to reconstitute. So, yes, we've got some peacekeeping forces from Indonesia, reportedly roughly 8,000 at the ready, but there's still some peacemaking to be done. And how we reconstruct Gaza is another question. But I think this is a proof of concept, and we'll see where it goes today.
We sure will. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time. Have a good morning.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.